Hi, everybody. Welcome to Character Modeling. That's right. Welcome to Character Modeling at the end of week 3. That's correct. Just to give everybody a quick heads up. You do have your discussions due tonight. I'm going to end up posting to the discussions today. Also, just to let you know, just finish your course project, your second pass of your character bust. That should be due tomorrow night. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. But let's get into it. So I figured we'd talk a little bit about realism versus stylization and how the differences in styles matter. And that's a really big thing. And that's important when you're designing your characters because do you want your character to look more stylized or more realistic? And that can go either way depending on the concept you're trying to pitch. So let's get into it a little bit. All right. So there's two different methods. Realism, obviously, realism is more based off a realistic artistry where movies, video games, animation, they all kind of focus on very realistic style approach. Everything is based off of real world dimensions. They're also based off of different realistic elements, and you have to abide by the laws of physics and real world concepts if you go the realistic route. Now, if you go more stylized, then you can play around with it a little bit. You can kind of create your own. However, when you have the open world sandbox, it can be hard to reel it in sometimes, but you can get some really cool things. Much like Crash Bandicoot right over here, very stylized art style. Really works perfectly with the scenery and also with the game itself and how the environment plays to the story, and that's really huge. Now, realism in a nutshell is these are subjects painted from everyday life in a naturalistic manner. And used to describe artworks, projects painted or created in a realistic, almost photographic way. However, sometimes when we try to get too realistic with things, humans tend to know when something is not realistic at all. And that's really crucial. For example, there's a theory based off this called the Uncanny Valley, where as we as developers and designers try to design things that's closer to true human elements, we can see the flaws in a lot of things. Humans can always get so close, but never quite achieving it, and we even get even closer and closer. And that's that Uncanny Valley where we get so far that we still fail at the bottom of it, and then there's the edge there's the real goal right at the end of that canyon, and that's really crucial right there. So, yeah, that's the hard thing about realism is you. It's very easy to notice the mistakes, and that's something to keep in mind with. And we've come close very times, nearly reached it a lot of times. However, just humans tend to find mistakes in everything. And obviously, as we as humans know what real is like at birth. So we can call out the flaws very easily. For example, there was an old movie back in 1999 using, it was actually after Final Fantasy. It was called The Spirits Within. Had a really good cast. Had Alec Baldwin, Ming-Na Wen, and all these things. But the animation was so high graphic and it looked really nice, but with the cutscenes, but it just still the animation looked wrong in a lot of different ways. And because it just felt jagged, it didn't move right. And that's where the realism came into that Uncanny Valley on it. But we'll get there soon. I mean, even to the point now where we have artificial intelligence that's even further beyond, and it'll go. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, stylization is a little bit different in art, the decorative generalization of figures and objects by means of various conventional techniques, and this includes the simplification of lines, forms, and relationships of space and color. Now, this brings decorative features into art and conforming them to a non-conventional style, and it's easier to accept since we know it's not real or possible. That's why when we take a look at like cartoons and we see these characters talking, we know it's not real, so we know that doesn't happen, so we accept it easier. Like, oh yeah, talking zebra, that makes complete sense, right? But in the real world, if you try to, like, sometimes that's why people had a hard time accepting the realistic version of Lion King, because of the fact that it just didn't look right from the animals talking. It just didn't look like they had any emotion. With stylization, you can add a lot more emotion. And this combines with exaggeration and simplification techniques to really create the new norm and really emphasize those emotions even further. And that's something to be aligned with. But yeah, those are the two differences between realism and stylization. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So, yep, you have your discussions due tonight. Other than that, you have your second pass of your character bust due tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. We go into week 4. All right, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Other than that, have a great weekend. And I'll see everybody on Monday for my announcement. Enjoy, guys. Bye-bye.